And here we go. Yes, that's right. We've got another episode of Cardboard Conversations, though. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We are live because it's Saturday. It's 7 p.m. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yo.
Thank you very much.
Would you say we're live on Saturday night?
Yeah.
I'd even raise that and say at 7 p.m.
Eastern Standard Time.
Specifically EST. That's a good ad. We've got a lot of West Coasters, and heck, we've even got some foreign viewers as well. So thank you, everybody. Really do appreciate it. And we are live, like I said. So feel free to put something in the comment section. Let us know your opinion as we go through different subjects this evening. And if you want to interact with us a little bit more, we actually offer channel memberships. So if you click the join button down below for the low price of 99 cents, you can get up to minimum of 2 free extra hours. And we've actually got some projects we're working on, so you might get a bit more payoff than that.
Yeah.
And Matt, why don't you start us off? You had something you wanted to talk about this evening.
Which one? The brackets?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they introduced the brackets. I already did a video. If you check on the channel, I've done a video. I basically read over it, gave my opinions. I've actually also joined the Wizards of the Coast Discord that has the discussion about the brackets and the game changers and the frequently asked questions and stuff like that. So I've got some kind of from the actual community members, even not just from our Discord or our YouTube channel, but also from the Wizards of the Coast employees and people that are in discussion. It's interesting how defensive some people get of a system that is brand new, that doesn't people. I see people giving feedback, and then people are like, "No, it doesn't need that. It's fine." It's like, well, hold on. Well, listen to the guy, and let's see what he's cooking, because you can't a system with, especially this is a beta system. For those of you that aren't aware, the Wizards of the Coast released their system called the bracket system for Commander. Basically, if you ever rated your deck by a power level 1 through 10, this is a more guided way of doing that directly from Wizards of the Coast. So we can get into the details if needed, but basically 1 is the least powerful under pre-con level deck. It's your special snowflake deck that does it's not very strong at all. It won't probably ever win very much at all, but it's a very fun deck for maybe you're not using any kind of powerful cards, no tutors or very little tutors, no land destruction, none of that. And then up to 5 being CEDH. So it's interesting. I think it's okay.
I got to say, I definitely had some very strong first opinions. And Bob, you probably were taken aback. What were your first thoughts when you saw this bracket system and the entire article? It's a pretty beefy, wordy one. What were your first thoughts when you saw this?
My exact first thoughts was I have to dig into it more, because it seems like a big fat nothing burger to me. And the more I've read into it and the more shows I watch with the people that are raging against it, the people that are defensive for it, standing up in defense of it, I still think it's a big fat nothing burger.
I got to say that was probably my second thought. My first one is, what the heck is this? It doesn't seem as though this is quite realistic. This is not 5 brackets, but 3 upon close inspection. And then my second, similar to you, I believe, is a nothing burger. It's Commander. I'm going to be playing this game with most of my friends, so this doesn't really impact me. And as Matt had mentioned right off the rip, it's just in beta, so there's definitely a lot of workshopping for these guys still to do.
I have the fundamental problems I have with it. The people that tend to come out most staunchly in defense of it are people that consider themselves high-powered players, that are CDEDH players, and you just know if you know the difference between 4 and 5, and there is no difference between the two. There just isn't. And those people that are saying that are just trying to denigrate those people that are newer to the game. The people that are making CEDH decks, this applies to them not even in the slightest. There is nothing in this that applies to a CEDH player. Why do we have a CEDH bracket? There's no guidance for them whatsoever. So there's no technical difference between 4 and 5. I understand the wording and the mindset of trying to approach the meta in a tournament and all that. There's no guidance, because let's talk about who this is aimed at. It's not aimed at your mats. It's not aimed at your CDH players. It's aimed at people who don't really know much, and it's supposed to provide guidance to get around the 1 to 10 ranking system, which, let's be real, the 1 to 10 was there in the first place to try to prevent pub stomping. And one of the things that the article tells you very plainly is that this is not to stop those people. Okay, well then what is it really going to do? So you're really, let's only look at one half of this, or not even, or a little over a half. It's 1 to 3. 1 is a big fat nobody burger. Nobody's going to intentionally try to develop those unless they're going to try to break this bracketing system. So really you're down to just 2 and 3 in general, because if 4, you just know if you know, and they don't provide enough guidance on what is a powerful card and what is not a powerful card, because there are synergies that just cannot be defined here. It actually, what it made me do is kind of eat my words on something that Matt said and what you had said originally when we were guessing what they were going to do with this bracketing system, and that was come up with a point system. I wasn't in favor of it, but I'm more in favor of that than this.
Point systems are very like if you guys aren't familiar, Canadian Highlander is like Commander, but you don't have a commander, and then the salty cards have a point value assigned to them, and you're allocated a certain number of points to when you build your deck. I think it's 10. So basically, the game changers would have in our situation for normal commander, I feel like they would have like a point value assigned to them, and you'd only have, instead of being able to only have 3 game changers, you'd have 10 points worth of game changers. That's kind of how I see it, and I agree. I think points are very, if you want something that is like guaranteed going to definitive answer, you have 10 points of game changers. You can't really, you'll know exactly if you're CDH, if you have no, say if you're building a CDH deck, you have unlimited game changer points. 4 is 10, and then you can go down from there or whatever, however they decide to do it. So that would make it more definitive. But yeah, I think that if they added a line underneath 5 that said something along the lines of attempts to win the games before turn 3 with lots of interaction, I think that would be a better guideline than nothing. I agree that like it looks, for a new player, I agree that it looks basically like there's no difference between 4 and 5. I know, I mean, we all know the difference like between a CDH deck and a non-CDH deck, but yeah, for new players, or I mean, I don't think this is just for new players. I think this is for public players, people that play at tournaments or at LGSs, or if they go to a Gen Con or whatever. It's just a generalized knowledge, or localized terminology that we can use to describe decks. It's not just for new players. It's just to help everybody.
I understand that, but it's definitely not for the higher power players. The higher power players are going to be playing in a CEDH tournament or with their CEDH group. So that just needs to be completely dropped from this list. It's pointless to be
necessarily true. I have decks that are 1 technically. I mean,
okay, but then you're not going to be in a CEDH, right? There would be no reason to have this bracket if your intention is to play a CEDH game.
Well, but why would my intention, like, just because I have CDH decks doesn't mean I'm always going to want to play CDH.
No, but what I'm saying is that's the purpose of this bracket, to define it for people who want to play CEDH. The bracket is useless for those players.
Well, no. So
okay. How does this bracket help a CEDH player? Like, walk me through.
It helps anybody, not just CDH players. So so say you're going to a Gen Con and you're like, okay, I want to bring X number of decks. You'll probably want to bring a deck that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, because you'll have 1 of every bracket. So that when you go to sit down at a table with a bunch of random people, you're like, listen, I've got brackets 1 through 5. What bracket do you guys want to play in? Boom. They're trying to make it so it's easier. There's still always going to be the rule 0 talk, but they're trying to make it so it's easier to define a deck. Now, whether that's done correctly or not, that's a different story. But the intention, I see the intention being great. Because if I go to a convention or if I go to a LGS, if I bring 5 decks that are 1 of each bracket, I know that I'll be able to play with anybody at the wherever I'm going.
I agree with you, Coach. I think this does more harm than good for newer people. It is some rules, but not clarified rules. If it's not covered, just kind of make it up. And that doesn't help a newer player go sit down with other players and try to figure out where they belong. And they're certainly not going to be in a 4 or a 5. If they don't know that much, there's no way they're playing in CEDH tournaments or playing an optimized deck against other players who have optimized their decks. That's not real. I don't think this bracket helps higher power players really at all, because it just says, all right, there's no limits. You do whatever you want. There are literally no limits on 4 or 5.
But there's no. This at least defines something, as opposed to the 1 through 10 power level system did nothing. It literally.
I agree. There should be a 4, and it says that could include CEDH decks, but the guidance is there's no limit on what you can do.
Well, yeah.
Okay, there's no necessity for a broken out 4 and 5, and if you want to call yourself CEDH or 4, fine. It doesn't matter.
I was listening to the EDH Recast, and they just recently had Gavin Vierhay on, and they had like an hour and 15 minutes, mostly talking about the brackets and such. And it was specifically something Gavin Vierhay was very forward about, saying that he wanted a section of the bracket specifically for people that are in the CDH area. And they did spend a lot of time going through the mindset. And I could see how, if you were planning on going to a tournament, if it was a very competitive scene versus just I put all the best stuff I can in my deck, you might choose 3-5 different cards, and it would probably give you an advantage at the table if you were in a more competitive atmosphere, instead of just I have all these good cards, I want my deck to do all the cool stuff. I can see how there is an idea behind the difference of level 4 and 5, but for all practicality's sake, on paper they look exactly the same to me. And I don't think that this helps a lot of people. That if you own more than like 3 commander decks, this probably isn't helping you. You know where you are, you know what a precon is, you know what CEDH is, you understand that Smothering Tithe is good but annoying. Same thing with Heuristic Study. Like, realistically, if I took like 3 cards out of Kaikar, it would then be an exhibition deck, lower than a precon. Yeah, right. Like, this really makes me want to just have the Rule Zero conversation again of what is your deck trying to do? What are some of the powerful things behind it? Is it 2 cards that work together that make it go infinite? Is it 3? Do you have backups to those? Do you have fast way to get those? What are your synergies? I think that is the conversation to have. I don't know if rolling up to a table and slapping down my deck and saying it's a 4, let's get to it, boys. I still don't think that this is solving that problem, and I don't think it was set out to. I think that's one of the big things as well, is that this is not the end all be all. I believe even in the article here that it says to continue having that Rule Zero conversation.
Yeah, it's just an aid. Like, it's not going to be the end all be all. It's not going to solve every problem. It's not going to solve every discussion. But
nothing's going to solve every problem.
But I bet you that if you said
already
everybody got ones, yeah, let's all play ones. I bet you everybody would have a very similar time. Now, of course, there's going to be bad actors. I know I can build a bracket 1 deck that is insane. I know I can do that. There's pauper decks that are very powerful and on the level of like a light CDH level. But the majority of the time, that's not going to happen. It's going to be, you're going to have like 99% of the time, you're going to have a successful game if you just go in saying, I've got brackets. I think 1 through 3, like you said, are clearly defined. There's going to be outliers, but I think that they are done pretty well. I think 4 and 5 needs something.
Hold on. You say they're clearly defined. How many tutors am I allowed to have?
That's one thing I don't understand at all. Why does it just say
few? Why the word few?
Okay, there's one. It's like it's one of the 4 bullets on there, and it's not defined at all.
What's interesting is part of the conversation Gavin Vierhay was having during that podcast was they talked about how some tutors were just better than other ones, vampiric tutor, enlightened tutor, things like that, and how those were the ones they really needed to.
Sure, versus diabolic, I get it, or that amulet, is the amulet that you get to go search for any card, Karaz's amulet or whatever it is. the portal that costs like 12 mana to activate, to get it down and activate it.
Like, is Evolving Wilds a tutor? Like, I don't even like how.
Like, again,
Yeah.
they didn't define things, and that was what this bracket system is really supposed to do for newer players. Because again, I'm just going to hold to the idea that higher power players, this is pointless, and we'll ignore this within super short order. And then it still doesn't help out the newer players with the power level 1 through 10. I agreed. That was garbage. I think the only way that you're really ever going to be able to combat that, and I think they don't want to do it because it would require an insane amount of work, and that's to keep managing the point systems for cards. I was imagining more like 100 points. You get 100 points to build your deck, and every card has, assigned point values to it. Now, that being the case, they left loose language in a guidance bracket, and that's terrible, right? And not just for the bad actors, but for people that don't even know they're being bad actors. And we'll say this: we could bring the exact same deck for 1, 2, and 3, and depending on who pilots it, like for example, Matt, because like the biggest difference that they kept trying to say, oh well, you'll win after about 4 or 5 or 6 turns, right? The same deck that would take me 6 or 7 or 8 or 12 turns, Matt might pilot it and win in 4.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've made a deck and been like, hey, Matt, can you take a look at this? And he's like, what are you trying to do with this? Like, yeah, absolutely. He sees the game differently.
He
and
just slaps some cards in there and like, I can make this better.
Well, I'm not even talking about changing the cards, because then you're getting into more specific guidance. I'm talking about the difference between the brackets they're saying is when you're typically going to win the game and do the thing. That depends on the pilot in many, many cases that see the combinations, that see the lines, that understand the strategies at the table, that know their timing better. And this doesn't help that when you try to say, oh, you'll win by turn 10. And then somebody comes along and just fluke happenstance accidentally plays their tier 1 deck, their bracket 1 deck, and wins on turn 4.
I've got it. So when you
then you're going to have the whole table going, what the fuck? This is supposed to go 12 turns. And,
when you sit down at the table, you have to state rule 0. You have to talk about rule 0. Then you have to talk about your pilot power level. Then you have to talk about your bracket level of your deck. And then you have to talk about how many game changers you have, how many tutors you have. Let's just talk about. Let's just give everybody. Print out a deck list and just hand it to everybody and be like, okay, here you go. Have a check of my deck list, double check everything, pull up the Mox field.
You have to submit at least 90 minutes of footage of you playing the deck.
But I think
by that token, Matt, if you say it's just a game, who fucking cares? Then why do we need a bracket at all?
I think it's just a tool. Like you can choose to use it or you can choose not to. And I think it's a beta tool that will get better. It can only get better. If they make it worse, I kind of share
both Bob and Coach's frustration. Coach coming in here with a banger comment. This bracketing system is really just a resource for newer play groups and game stores to have something to kind of go by. But it's almost too basic at this point to help much. It needs more.
I agree with that.
I don't think that if this had never occurred, I think that we would just continue right along and say 1 through 10, everybody's a 7. And if it's not a 7, then you're just a dirty, rotten liar. Like it's never a 7, but it's always a 7. 5's supposed to be precons, and those aren't right either. Like,
because Prosper Tomebound is totally in line with, half of the, we'll go with the new Capenna commander decks,
Oh my God, is Drake still trying to come back? Dude, Kendrick Lamar ran more than one of the teams in the football game. So, like, I think that is over, unfortunately, J Prime.
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
I don't know either.
Sports?
But again, and it's fine that you have your opinion, Matt, and there are many out there, and I've watched all the different sides. It's useless to me. I got nothing from this.
It's better. Would you say that it's better or worse than the power levels 1 through 10?
I thought that power levels 1 through 10 were a nothing burger.
So it's better then, right?
No, they're both bad. They're both useless.
No, it doesn't matter. If you're having to pick between the two systems, we have the system that was already put into place.
They're equally
that
bad.
Doesn't really do anything, and the system that they're trying to put into place that's in beta that will be better. The bracket system is just miles better.
I disagree. I think they're equally bad in their own ways.
Oh, I agree with both of you. They are equally bad in both of their own ways. This seems like it's worse because it's half of the numbers, which as a guy, that's easy math. Half the numbers, twice as bad. But there's actual definition to it. Outside of what we say at the card shop in in online forums and whatnot, 5's a precon. Well, this tells you what a precon is. 2, average current pre-constructed deck. It has like bullet
No.
points.
Stop. Hold on. What's an average pre-constructed deck?
The average current pre-constructed deck. So like what they make in this year.
What? See, you keep using the word average. Define average for me, please.
No, that's literally what it says right there. The average.
I want you in terms of this to define what an average precon is.
The thing that they make as the standard pre-constructed deck, not specialty items including Modern Horizons 3 Commander likes.
Well, but you can't just go with the current set because there's tons and tons and tons of precons already out there.
Average, like that's the average current pre-constructed deck. The standard, that is certainly an outlying product. That whole series, definitely not the regular.
Yeah. The Modern Horizons,
so like stuff that comes with Bloomburrow, your standard releases.
Because Doctor Who are just awesome precons. Get out of here. No,
but they're better than the average precon.
They come in at a 2, which I think realistically a 1 and a 2, again, similar to 4 and 5, have the exact same bulleting. Their rules are exactly the same. No max land denial, 1 and 2. No infinite combos, 1 and 2. No chaining extra turns, no game changers, and allowed few tutors. So 1 and 2 are, for all practicality's sake, the same.
I think
my Nadu deck, if it weren't banned, it would be
the way that
1.
they define that, Pat, when people started breaking it down and defending it, was what turn you win on is the difference between 1 and 2.
Well, they didn't do that. The article did that. The article goes into more detail.
Okay, that's what they wrote the article.
Well, when you were saying they, I thought you meant like content creators or random fuckboys.
No, I'm talking about the people that wrote the fucking article and defined this bracket system. I agree with you. Again, I'm just going to hold my line until I see that this is a game changer, like, the fanboys say. I don't think it's the worst. What I do feel is they got pressured to turn it out before it was done.
Chicago, like Magic, like 100%. Yeah, I don't even think that that's like a conspiracy theory at this point. This is definitely underbaked. I think anybody who does early access or beta gameplay knows that they should just wait longer to put it out.
Yeah, there are some that are just shit burgers, and this is a shit burger.
When we started playing Commander raids, it was nowhere near how as good as we wanted it to be when we started in beta. When we started testing, same thing with the Path of Exile 2. As it comes into its beta, it was dog shit, and then they got better and better. Same thing with this bracket system; it's dog shit, and it's going to get better. Like when I'm looking at one of the tools that I see being super useful in this whole gauging on the bracket system is that you technically don't even need to know what's in the bracket system because you can go to Moxfield, you can upload your deck, and it will give you a general idea of how powerful your deck is. And it actually works pretty damn well. I'll share my list here.
I also really hate the idea of game changers. It's a soft ban.
I think it's. I don't understand why Trouble in Pairs is on there. I've still not to this day ever seen anybody run away with the game with Trouble in Pairs. Every other card
I don't care about that. Then either ban them or don't. But this halfway in between, I hate.
Oh God, I cannot get this big enough to make it. That's what she said. Well. Can I get rid of this deck list on the side?
Nope.
Oh, I guess okay. So it's still okay. So what we're looking at here is the bracket system. So I want to look at like basically whenever I do a deck tech video, I try to make multiple different decks at different price points to kind of give everybody an example of what kind of deck you're looking at. So one of the things I thought was interesting is that when I was building Saddle the Gitrog monster, there's actually a bracket level 2, which is pretty interesting. I think it's a pretty powerful deck, but bracket level 2, they're talking like this is like a pre-constructed level. Now I can almost guarantee this will stomp any precon. But I thought that it was interesting that like it seems like anything with green is what I've noticed is like, because there's only 2 game changers on the list, which one of them I don't even know. I don't even play Survival of the Fittest. I don't play Survival of the Fittest in a single deck. Why is that on the game changers list? I don't even know if CDH plays that. I've never even seen that on the board on any CDH deck I've ever played against. It's very weird. Worldly Tutor, I see that all the time. Like, I don't understand why Survival of the Fittest is on that list. Let's see here. Sephiroth 3/3. This is a good example. So at a $500 tier level, it's a bracket level 3, but that no budget is bracket 4. This is kind of like what I expect to see happen once they like kind of make the system a little bit more. I think the game changer list needs to be more, but they're trying to keep it short so that you can remember everything that's on it. I could probably label all 40 of them if I had a little bit of time to like write them down, and like I'm fairly certain I could remember all of them only looking at the list like twice. But that's kind of just because they just kind of picked. They went to like EDH Rec and like just picked the saltiest cards minus a couple, which is a little interesting. Like I said, the Survival of the Fittest, I just don't get.
I'm just going to say this. I think it's going to encourage more people. I think it's got wheels clicking for so many people out there who don't consider themselves bad actors to try to break the bracket system.
This is interesting.
Okay, you gave me enough rules to get around it, and I'm going to show up at a bracket 1 tournament and crush them.
I wonder if this was automatically put in. Okay.
And Dual Brain, as you can tell, I threw out a couple of gifted memberships because we've got some pretty interesting projects that we're working on, some members only stuff. So I'm glad you were here, and I believe Benson as well. So, hopefully you guys will join us in some of our other streams.
We got, I think, a saucy one, coming up tonight.
I'd say so.
So I think we're probably going to end it just a little bit early because the member section is actually going to go a little bit longer tonight.
I mean, I've probably
we still got another this podcast, but we'll do the special announcement now since we've got. Are you doing that, Bob?
What's that?
Were you going to announce what we're doing?
No, I don't. I'll leave that up to one of you guys that's better at it. I just wanted to let the audience know that we probably got just a little over about 15 minutes here before we break for the member only section tonight, and we do have something in the works. That I don't see Time Capsule here tonight, but we spoke with him and Clown somebody. I'm sorry, I forget his name.
Oh, Chuckles.
Chuckles.
I can't believe that he got that name. Like, that's so simple of a name. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can't get on like the internet because it's too simple. Like, if I wanted the screen name Pat, that's taken. Chuckles. This is good.
I don't know. I think Pat has the best radio announcer voice, but it's up to you guys. Like, I don't want to step on it. But it is a collaborative effort we've been working on for weeks now behind the scenes. And hopefully you guys will enjoy it. And there's a good possibility, if it goes well, you all could participate.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool to have like a little bit of a. It'd be a quote unquote tournament, but it really necessarily wouldn't be like competitive in a way that it's like
traditional. It's not traditionally competitive
because it's a player versus environment. It's a it's a collaborative effort versus with your teammates, but you'd be trying to beat your pod would be like your team, and then your teams would be trying to beat the other teams that are fighting the monsters. So you're just trying to like maybe do it faster. We haven't done it. Maybe done it faster or some other like criteria. But yeah, it'd be interesting to host like a tournament for that. I don't know how we'd do it, but we'd have to write out the details. But yeah, for our Commander Rates format, what we're deciding to do, we were looking to see. I think it was you said it was Jake and Joel or Magic. They did the box break, which inspired this.
Yeah, it was. I was watching. Actually, it was just Jake on. I'm sorry, just Joel, and he was breaking a box of Ether Drift to build a commander deck. Now we're going to put our own spin, our own flavor on it. So it's not going to match exactly, but it's inspired by what he does. Additionally, our format is Commander Raids for here on this channel, and I thought, what a neat thing to try to come up with a Commander Raids deck in the same way, and each of us builds one, and we try to beat the boss monster. So, Matt, if you want to give more of the details, but yes, it was inspired by Jake and Joel or Magic. Please go give them a like and a subscribe if you haven't. Check out that box break build. But this will be in line with that idea.
Yeah, basically the idea is to open a sealed box of whatever box you pick, and then use that sealed box to build your commander deck. 100 card commander deck, standard commander rules. You get to pick your commander, and then the color restrictions still apply. The only difference is that you're getting 3 cards: Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, and what's the third
Command
one?
Tower.
Command Tower. Yeah. And then you can also use duplicates. So if you pull like 5 of a really broken card that you really like, play all 5.
Now, let me just say this though: you can't break the legendary rule, right? Like that's inherent magic. I just wanted to make that clear. Yeah, sure. You can use multiples, but you still can't break standard commander rule.
Nothing but evolving wilds. Yeah,
unless you pull a mirror box, I guess, or some such. But yes, you have to follow the standard magic rules.
So what set?
What set? Any set you want, really.
Yeah, you want to crack a beta box and do this?
Yeah,
I don't know if they have any viable commanders.
I was looking at I was looking at sealed boxes because I was I'm super digging this idea. I'm really behind this. I love the idea. And I was like, Fallen Empires isn't that expensive. I would just have to take out less packs, right?
I don't. Yeah, one of the things that is,
I don't think they're going to have multicolored commanders though. You'd have to play the Piper. Oh, you forgot to mention that the Piper will also be always available, not necessarily as like the Soul Ring, the Command Tower.
I was against that. I didn't really want that.
What if you don't pull a commander that gives you a playable deck?
Just like I get 6 less packs. Yeah, I think you'll have no problem pulling a commander. The only way I would say that the Piper would make a lot of sense is if you're playing a set that already has the partner mechanic. The partner mechanic is already so strong. If you just were able to because basically what the Piper does is that it just allows you to pick whatever color you want. It's too ambiguous. It's like the bracket system. There's no guidance. You just literally you always play the Piper. Why wouldn't you ever not play the Piper?
Because he doesn't do anything.
Play your best color, no matter what the commander is. I don't like it. It kind of takes away from the deck building. The newer Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan. Is that the next coming set?
Maybe Lost Caverns.
Yeah, he's probably talking about Lost Caverns.
Was there another Ixalan set?
Yeah, there was Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan, and then Caverns of Ixalan.
Oh.
So if you get multiples in a box, you're certainly able to use all of the multiples that you get.
Duskmourn.
Along with that, we're going to be doing all of the box openings. We've got 4 people. It's going to be us 3 channel members, and also one of Matt's best buddies, Nate's going to be joining us in the shenanigans. And we're going to be doing 4 box openings, all members only videos. And then a week after those go up, we'll make them public. So, regular Timmies and Johnnies can get in on it. We don't want to, price gate all the fun for people.
Dented like hell.
Good thing it's going to get cracked for building a deck. But
yeah, Wilds of Eldraine is definitely, that would be on my top choice. Bloomburrow, that's a nice shape. Bloomburrow would be another
actually good, wasn't. Good well, I guess you'll have to wait and see what boxes. Love you too, Sherry Vegas. I guess you're gonna have to wait and see what boxes we actually pick for this first go round.
Yeah, that'll be a nice little special thing.
But you actually technically can't play alpha. You can't play beta. You can't play Arabian Nights.
Why not?
You had to wait until Legends. I think that was the first set that had
legendary. Oh, they didn't have legendary.
Did they not have legendaries at all?
No, there were no legendaries until Legends. But if you're gonna crack a Legends box, okay, rich boy to play.
I think make that a members only stream. Yeah.
Maybe if Elon Musk joins us, please don't.
Oh, Benson, you weren't here to snag one of the membership. Hey, it doesn't let me select the people. It just says how many do I want to pay for it.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. It's randomly gifted.
You'll just have to be here.
There's also a thing you have to opt in to receive a channel membership, which is kind of weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I was looking yesterday.
It might feed back information to us about our members that they may not want us to see.
Yeah, like you can like opt out for whatever reason. Like if you go to the channel without being a member, there's like a thing you can do at the top. Let's see, where was it? I found it yesterday on accident. Membership.
There's my Alaskan. I
I'm
don't
already
get
a
it,
member.
Ed. What? Are
Someone
you
near the
watching Darth
membership.
microtransactions? I don't know another. The Outdoor Boys YouTube channel. Like, what other
Brody's,
Alaskans are there?
Brody's an
Stuff on-
Alaskan.
I
I don't know if he's Alaskan. He's Canadian, I think. But up there near Alaska. I don't know. I don't know anybody that's an Alaskan.
Oh, also, by the way, check out Outdoor Boys YouTube channel. It's phenomenal. It's a dude pretty much just goes out in the wilderness in Alaska, just like bushcraft survives in like 12 feet of snow overnight. Freaking awesome. TCG,
It's
dude,
freaking me out that I look just like a floating head. My shirt kind of blends in with the
especially because you got the writing on it.
I just look like another bullet point for the bracket 3. But
yeah, so I'm super excited about
is TCG dude an Alaskan? I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
really looking forward to this box break Commander Raids build-a-thon. You know, we've got this planned out over the next 5 weeks, starting tonight. So anybody who is a channel member, make sure to continue watching us. We're going to be doing a members-only live stream where we bust open a box, continue chatting, and since it is members only, we do get a little bit rowdier, and we skip this whole vertical format. We get that horizontal life going.
Yeah, dude, trying to do this on vertical would be horrible.
Oh, dear sweet God.
Oh, not happening. So TCG, dude, I got a question for you since they're there. What are the prices of a pound of king crab legs in Alaska? Because they're like $60-$70 a pound here. Kind of curious about that.
I mean, I'm curious too. I'm not the biggest fan.
It's got to be fresher no matter what.
Butter. I mostly just want butter.
Kind of like you get fresh lobster there. Like we can get lobster here, but it's gonna basically not be as good as what you get out there.
Oh, right? Dude, lobster's like real cheap here. They just bring them in from Maine, which is just like a couple of hours.
Yeah, it's got to be fresh. Hell yeah,
Richie, my man.
I love me some crab legs. Don't get me wrong. I grew up on in the summers on Chesapeake Bay, pulling out blue crab. But they're so little. They're only like this big, right? So you got to do a lot of work to get a little meat.
Around 40 to 50. Okay.
That's what she said. But I'm not a big seafood guy.
What? Somebody who lives in a landlocked state?
Sherry Vegas also not a seafood person, but I am. Love some seafood.
I'll eat salmon's pretty decent. I'll eat funny enough, swordfish was pretty good.
Okay.
But like clams, anything like clam related, like where you're like just sucking.
Well, that's like shellfish is a little bit different. Like anything that's a bivalve, like mussels, clams, oysters, that stuff.
That's an expensive. That's an expensive food hobby, Dual Brain. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. Seafood gets pricey.
Oh, dude, my ex-wife, Vietnamese gal, living in a coastal region. She grew up eating all sorts of seafood.
What's the circle things that you cook?
Scallops.
Yeah. That's the one. I didn't have mussels. I had scallops. Scallops were okay.
Mussels are I hate them. They're like in a little black shell.
Yeah. I've never had anything
tougher. They're like a chewier clam.
And if they don't get cleaned enough, they get full of sand and like they're gritty on your teeth.
Yeah, sounds gross.
I pay a lot for these freaking teeth,
Yeah, right.
Maddox bug me. What cards do you want to be unbanned?
Good question.
That's a good
all
question.
of them.
I like it.
All of them.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. Like I like Primeval Titan is the first card that comes to my mind that I know that it's a very powerful card, but when it was banned, it was probably one of the few cards that could go and do that powerful thing. Nowadays, when you're playing a lands deck, man, like Realms Uncharted, if you're not sure what Realms Uncharted is, you pick a player and then you go get 4 lands from your deck, and then they choose what lands go to your hand. Now, if you've ever played a Lands Matters deck, when they go and get those 4 lands, your choice does not matter almost ever. Literally, it's basically 4 mana and go get 4 lands of whatever you want, and then you get all of them. Because if you're playing a lands matter deck, it just doesn't matter. Your choice doesn't matter because you're just going to get all 4 of them because you're going to play stuff that gets stuff from the graveyard. You're going to have stuff from your hand. It doesn't matter. So if you're playing, you might as well just it's 3 mana. It's even cheaper and it's instant. Holy crap! Power crept out of my brain. But yeah, Prime Titan. That's what I want. I want Prime Titan.
I'm just saying, just unban them all. Rule 0 covers it well enough, in my opinion.
Make them all game changers. Let's go. Jeweled Lotus. Give me my Jeweled Lotus back.
I'm down with that too. I'm okay with that. If they're going to have this half-ass in between, then get rid of the ban list and you rip that shit off. Let people, play as unfiltered as possible.
Anybody want Dockside?
I think I'm kind of with that. Is like do kind of like Canadian Highlander, where everything has a point value, but just don't cap it. Just my deck is a 64. Okay, mine's a 792. I'm not playing with him. And there's like a special bonus, like a multiplier. If you've got like card X plus card Y, everybody knows this 2-card combo. It's got like a ×2 multiplier. This one was already 5 points. This one was already 10. Okay, cool. Now it's 150 points.
Here's the thing for Matt. He's asking, are there any
before?
Can you pull up Maddox's next question? Are there any cards that I want banned? No. And I'll explain why. If I'm playing with somebody at a table that's a dick and is just playing dick cards and I don't like playing with them, I get to say, see ya.
I think it would be hilarious for the market. Honestly, much like with what's going on right now. I want to see some wild stuff.
Let's play that game. Guess that card.
Guess that card. God, this is out of nowhere a really fun segment on our show.
Yeah.
Dockside.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dockside Extortionist
was like
just because it was talked about potentially being unbanned. They went from as low as $10, which is funny enough. I actually was thinking about buying like a couple of them just to have them. Yeah. I think I might have some.
I don't think so, Dual Brain, because the format, like Matt loves to point out, it's just a what do you call it? It's a casual format. It's not a sanctioned tournament that you're going to get prizes from. You're not going to get points from it. So if somebody just wants to come in with a deck that wins every turn on turn 0 or wins every game on turn 0, you know what's going to happen to that dude at the table? No, you can't sit and play with us.
It's rebounding pretty good.
Oh yeah, I think
of any of the cards, this card right here is almost. I feel like it's almost positively getting unbanned. I feel like it is specifically made for Commander. Now, I think if I remember correctly, they were on record to say that it was a mistake, so it's possible they don't unban it. But I don't think it was a mistake. I thought it was a fantastic.
I guess I gotta say I'm like 50% with Richie. Ban islands. I think that's a fine opinion to have.
How low did this ever get?
Oof. Like,
I'll say this,
it just makes it really hard to play blue. Like you can still have Command Tower. That's not an island. Cool. You can still have your commander deck. You can still have fun. But it just makes it really hard to be a dick all the time. Countering my shit, Dave.
But Dual Brain, I don't think they ever can make them tournaments. And we've discussed this ad nauseum here between the three of us. The problem is with the format. The problem is that you always will end up with groups of colluders, and there will be no way to get rid of the collusion in this format when there's money on the line.
Phenomenal point.
Yeah, I completely disagreed. I'm with
behind you. Tier level 5. CEDH decks. The specific thing that sets those people apart is that they'll do anything it takes to win, like politicking and all that shit. So if we all go in together to a tournament, we design our deck so I can just make it so Bob wins all of a sudden.
Like, and then we just split the prize money at the end.
Like that would be part of the design of like how you would make a
part of the game.
Like a bracket 5 is like, how do you fuck with the rules just inside of it being allowed?
It's not part of the game because you have so many people in the Magic community that don't have friends, that are just solo loners, that really don't have a social circle, would be going to these events. And, it's unfair. It's an unfair advantage with money on the line.
But it already is happening. This already happens. There's already CDH tournaments that are successful. Like there's literally it's already happening. It's already for money. You can view the bracket systems. It already happens. You get points. And yes, collusion happens. And yes, one of the things that happens at CDH tournaments, which I don't enjoy, is that when somebody puts a win on the stack, the most common response, if you don't have a way to win, is offer a draw. That's stupid as fuck. I hate draws. I hate intentional draws. Get rid of it. But like you can go and it already happens. Like you can literally see the pods and you can see the decks at the events. Now it's a little bit more obscure because once you start adding in like DCI, what is it? DCI sanctioned. Once you start adding in sanction, it might be a little bit more difficult. But I mean, like this one here, this one's a big CH tournament. There was 200 and something, $90 entry. Like it definitely ain't cheap to start.
Yeah, there's definitely prize support with some shit like
prize
that.
Pool, top prize, $10,000. Like there's some fucking money. Like
yeah. I mean, that would definitely, if again, this being a Magic the Gathering tournament, that would make me think about doing some kind of shady shit. Like
comp REL, so it's actually still it's still like there's
exactly, Richie. Backroom deals leading to back page deals.
Oh, there's some multiplayer rulings. Interesting.
Leading to backdoor deals. Anyways, it's that time, folks. So if you haven't already gotten a membership through Luck of the Draw and you got 99 cents jingling around in your pocket and you aren't currently a member and you want to see what's going on with our box break league for Commander Raids, it's about that time for us tonight. I know it went rather quickly tonight, but we need a little extra time because we're going to be ripping wrappers and formulating and doing magic-y kind of stuff.
Woo-woo. Yeah, thank you everybody for joining. Chat's been super lively, and we absolutely appreciate that. We got a lot of great back and forth, so continue along with that. And Matt,
post
anything else
before we end?
We're going wide.
Yeah.
We tend to forget to post the link for you.
That's
you folks for the members only.
Definitely go ahead and get that link.
We're so good at this.
Well, I wonder if I can set up Nightbot to. I wonder if there's a command that I can set up to like look at member only streams that would like take them directly to the page. That would be ideal, so it's easier for us.
I mean, honestly, like we're smart enough, but it's just the attention. We've got so much going on that it can be quite difficult.
Well, that's why typically most like bigger channels, as we get bigger, we'll eventually get to the point maybe that we'll have somebody that is like an assistant that can like help with like links and it can help with like kind of like banning people that are bad, like a moderator basically. We do need a moderator at one point. That'd be nice.
Yep, we need some moderate people out there.
So go ahead and click that link. If you're a channel member, you'll be able to go ahead and see us there in just a few moments.
Yeah, we'll have a 5-minute break and then pick back up in the wide form.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us and giving us your time on a Saturday night. From us being Saturday Night Live here, we're going to go live with our members. So
stay warm and dance the night away.